Hey everyone, Merry Christmas. At least it's Christmas around here. If you're in another country, it might already have passed for you. So yeah, I guess we'll just continue on either way. This is Santa's lead sled. I made it last video, that was Christmas Eve for me, but we're going to be making a Type 2 version today. Now I said in the last video that we're just going to put a massive V16 into it and just call it a day, but I think we're going to do a few other things as well. I've got a couple ideas to make this into some ridiculous vehicle. So first thing we're going to need to do though, we're going to have to up this a significant amount, and by that I mean we're going all the way up to 2020. 1950 to 2020, it's a pretty big difference. And with that difference in mind, we are going to max out the quality sliders on this car. Now that's not something I do too often, but well, we don't do it too often, so let's try it anyways. Let's make something that is maximum quality. So carbon fiber monocoque, carbon fiber again, that's the lightest combination. We've got a front longitudinal engine. We have a couple other options, but I do like the front. And we'll just stick with this suspension, I think. We're going to be able to put much bigger wheels on it this time, so it's going to look pretty sweet. Now, when it comes to engine, we had a V8 last time. It was a pretty cool V8, but I think we're going to need to change that this time. Let's make a giant V16 and put it in here as big as it can be. So it's a 90-degree V16. There's no chance it's going to fit in the front. So we'll just get rid of that. This is going to be a rear-wheel drive car once again. Looks like we have a ton of space in there though, so let's crank this thing up. Currently it is an 8-liter. Let's turn up the bore size. That's going to make the engine itself quite a bit bigger, keeping in mind that this is a longitudinally mounted engine. But it is a mod body, so we can make something that is quite large. So it'll fit like this, but barely. And we can also increase that so it's an 18.7 liter. Goodness, V16. So let's just say this car is about to be a lot more expensive than it previously was. We're going titanium pieces. We'll go lightweight forged for now. We'll probably end up dropping back to forged because honestly it's stronger. Let's just do that for now. Quality sliders go up though. This is going to make like probably 3,000, 4,000 horsepower-ish. We'll come back to that later. Well, we probably want VVT as well. Oh, I forgot about the quality sliders. And of course, we're going turbo, twin turbo. Gonna max that out. 1,200 horsepower. We'll start off with a race preset. These turbos are gonna be massive. And we'll go direct injection, just the best of the best here. Ultimate fuel. We could go super leaded, but I do want to stick with ultimate for this. So just working from experience, I increased the exhaust diameter all the way. Currently only our turbine is restricting, so that's a good sign. Actually, the compressor is restricting a little bit as well, but we're making 2,000 horsepower, and then it just flatlines right here, but that's pretty consistent power there. So the game is complaining about wheel spin. I think that's pretty obvious, and it's also complaining about power steering, but those are things that we'll get to in a bit. So let's go ahead and try and tune this thing, see if we can do any better than 2,000 horsepower. So one immediate thing to notice is we are only using 92 octane. We have 100, so we can crank some things up here. Alright, compression is higher. I think one thing we're going to do just immediately is put up the fuel all the way. I know from experience in making these really fast engines, or these really high power engines, that's pretty necessary. And if we want max power, we're going to need the compression or the cam profile all the way up as well. Pretty much everything's going to be all the way up. Alright, with an increase of the RPM limit, our things are trying to die here, pistons, conrods, and cranks, and we're currently up to 2,500 horsepower, but we can do better than that. So what I think I'm going to try to do here is go for a low compression engine just for fun. We're only using half of the octane we have, but that means that we can get that out of the turbocharger instead, or turbochargers. These things are very large. It has been so long since I've tuned an engine like this. I remember the last extreme horsepower one we made was that Rhino R. I believe it was a max size V16 making 4,300 horsepower, something like that. But it's been a while. So if we increase the compressor size up to, well, max size, at least in this application, we can get 2,900 horsepower, and still things are causing reliability issues. We'll just ignore that for now. Compression is super low. We still have a lot of fuel left to use, so we're going to be able to raise up the compression now and see if we can get more power out of it. Oh, that's a cool 3,600 horsepower. Not bad. Things are still wanting to die again. We can fix that a little bit by dropping this down, at least getting them under certain percentages. Basically, let's go back to here. So we have billet steel crank. I don't think we're gonna get any stronger than that. Lightweight titanium. We could probably get away with heavy duty forged. No, that just makes it worse. And then we have forged here. We could probably switch. Lightweight isn't going to help us much, so I guess forged is just with the way to go. Alright, things are just a little bit better than they used to be. Back up to 3,740 horsepower, I'm cool with that, and 4,586 newton meters of torque at 4,000 RPM. Things are still causing reliability issues, but I'm not concerned about that. This is not supposed to be realistic in the slightest. The curve is not good. It's pretty mountainous, especially around here, and it makes like 0 power at the low end, but hey, that's what you get with these massive turbos. It's going to be very turbo laggy. It's going to be fun to drive though, I think. Anyway, to control all of that power, I've got some ideas, but that's going to be it. 3,740 horsepower. Goodness. So odds are this thing is actually going to weigh a lot less than what we previously had, even though the car itself is still basically the same. But what I want to do to control this madness is let's widen these fenders as much as we can. We're going to need the biggest wheels we can get on this, and it's going to look different, but it'll look kind of cool. I mean, you can already see what I'm going for here. I think for now I'm going to leave the colors the same. We'll probably come back and change that. Maybe do a Christmas theme or something. Red and green, I don't know. But for now it's going to be the same. Right now, the styling is just the same thing, except wide. Alright, I'm just fixing some of the fixtures as they don't necessarily reset until you grab them and then move them around so that they're over top of the new extensions. But what we need to do first, before we do any styling, let's make sure that this is actually going to work. These tiny wheels are just not going to work out for this, so we're going to have to go bigger than that. So it's going to be a rear-wheel drive. Let's make it a dual clutch, and we'll go 7 speeds as well. 600 kilometers an hour is currently its max speed. That's a bit too much, so we'll go 504. This is going to be an issue. That's wheel spin in every single gear, but we can bring that down by changing the differential to be an electric LSD, and we'll raise the quality of all that up. So we're currently on cross-ply tires. We'll switch to radials, switch to semi-slicks, and then just go extreme width, especially at the back. Probably not that much at the front though. Now 15s just aren't going to do it for me, so I think we gotta put these up. And 23s is a bit big. Maybe 20s? I don't know. Alright, so this is kind of what I've got going so far. We'll probably end up changing those. Looks like the turbos hang down pretty far, which is not a good thing. Those are probably going to scrape the ground a few times during our journeys. Alright, so we need to fix this. This braking graph is just not going to work for us. We're going carbon ceramic brakes, of course. Maximum size, of course, is 420. The car itself, I'm sure it's lighter. Oh my goodness, it's a lot heavier. Hold on. Anyways, we'll just get back to this for a second. So we're going front 2 pistons, and then rear will be 1 piston, I guess, because we just need to be over above these lines. Already the brakes themselves are good. It has the pad type is like extremely high, but I'd rather lower that down and just have bigger brakes. Just makes more sense. Aerodynamics. Now this is important. Currently the car is making a lot of uplift, so we're going to put on downforce. It won't have an active wing because it's not going to have a wing, but we'll increase this a little bit and hopefully, possibly, at least make some uplift. I guess not though. And the interior is going to be extremely plush. We'll lower it down to be 4 seats instead of the usual 6. Although, well, we'll put an extra seat in the back. Driver aids and safety, we'll just go for the basic stuff here. This doesn't actually matter in Beam. I'm only going to put ABS on it. I'm not going to put the full stuff on there. And then we'll go advanced safety as well, which is going to make things a lot heavier, I know. Alright, suspension. Active comfort is very tempting, and it kind of makes sense for this. Let's try it. Semi-active, and again with the race preset, we want this car to be low. Extremely low. Goodness, well it weighs quite a bit more than it did before, but it also has a lot more horsepower. I think it's that big V16 in there weighing it down. That is a large engine. Even with full carbon fiber body parts, it's not enough to keep it from being a little overloaded. Either way, I'm happy with those stats. Let's go back to styling, and we'll make a few changes. So I want to decide here whether or not this bumper actually needs to be the full width or not. It does look cool with it all the way out like that, but that is just massive. I was thinking about even deleting it possibly, but I don't know. I want to acknowledge these fenders as being part of the vehicle. They're kind of just there right now. They're just tacked on, but yeah, we got to do something with them. I'm just thinking now, like, if you were to try and open up this door as a suicide door, you would immediately bash your door into the fender. It's not great design. Well, I really do like the sleek look of this car. I think that we're just gonna have to conceptify it. That's a word I just made up. But we'll just kind of extend all of the features out so that it fits this new body, and we'll go with that for now. Every feature is just even more exaggerated than it was before. This is getting big. Now, if that wasn't a smiling grin before, I don't know what it is now. Goodness, that's wide. This is almost like the concept car that ended up being turned into the original but toned down just a little bit. That's basically what this thing is at this point. Well, I just realized I can slap some anime on there. Didn't know this mod was working at this point. I'm trying to decide if I can somehow fit these on there because, I don't know, I just want to. Somehow you need twin turbos sticking out of the hood every once in a while. Unfortunately, they don't really agree with this body, so I think I'm just gonna axe that idea. No more of that. You know what though? I think I mentioned it so many times in the last video. Let's flame this thing up. Let's put some big flame decals on it. Lots of flames on the front, and that'll hopefully make it unique from its predecessor, or its older version. I don't know, I guess Santa got a little fiery in his day, in the newer versions of it. Yikes, stickers when they get big do not really work that well. They are colliding with everything at this point. I almost like the broken look of it though, that's kind of cool. It adds to it. It makes it look old and kind of unique. Well, I think I'm done with the styling. It's just a few little pieces here and there, just some flames around the deer. I did this on the back as well, and then the flames are kind of on the fenders, also on the hood. We'll see how those turn out. I'm kind of interested to see what they look like in Beam, and I've added a couple extra little planes here and there, and I think we're good to go. It's basically the same, but it's kind of cool in its own way, and somehow the backlights have turned into holes. Alright, we have to address some of the elephants in the room here. It will do 0 to 100 in 3.9 seconds, but wheel spin is currently at 90.3%, which is pretty significant. We're going to have to turn this down for sure. First gear is going to be a long one, going up to 90 kilometers an hour in first gear. But being a dual clutch, we're not going to have to shift or anything. Maybe, I'm not even sure which one is going to be better in this case, but we need some sort of LSD to keep this thing under control. Now, I have the biggest possible back wheels on there, and front wheels are probably a bit too small, I guess. If we're gonna try and fit in the graph, they need to be about this size, which is fine. It's just gonna be massive. This thing looks more like a Hot Wheels car than anything. It really resembles that more. Drivability is actually 90.6%. Sportiness is 91, but it's way too expensive for any of these cars, I would assume, or any of these categories. So yeah, wheel spin is still at 90%, even with full downforce. So I don't think we're going to be able to avoid that unless we put a bunch of secretive wings on there. So I think we're just going to leave it, and we'll have to be careful with it. But that is that. That is Santa's Lead Sled Type 2. Let's try it out in Beam. I'm not going to use a wheel this time, because I wasn't happy with the sound last time, but I'll figure that out for future videos. Just last time was a bit of a test. So we'll go into Beam, try it out with a controller, see how well I can do with it. So these are those cars in Beam. Specifically, this is the one we made right now. It looks pretty good. The red on the fire came out pretty strong. I think that just might be the Utah map, but you can see its width in comparison to a parking space, and in comparison to its previous car, and in comparison to a Bugo. The Bugo is actually quite a bit taller than these cars, so they are true, I would say, lead sleds, but it is much, much shorter. Yeah, interesting to see. They're not quite as big as I thought they were, at least in comparison to a relatively small car. Anyway, let's take out the new one for a drive, and I'll show you what that wheel spin is all about. Right, so I'm still a little used to the Forza controls. I've been clicking B to shift instead of A. We'll just go with that for now. Let's start this thing up though. It's an unrestricted V16, 3,700 horsepower, and I can tell you right now, the engine cooks itself as soon as you rev up. That's been a problem for a while with these very high-powered things that I've been making. But anyways, we're not going to bother to fix it right now. we'll just go ahead with this. Although I'm noticing, interestingly enough, there's a bit of a cracking issue on the lights for some reason. Don't know why that happened. Kind of interesting. Alright, well, we're in drive. It's not quite as loud as the V8, believe it or not. Oh, but the brakes actually do work. I haven't tried it at all, but being a rear-wheel drive 3700 horsepower vehicle, it's bound to be dangerous. Oh my goodness. This is why I didn't want to try it with the wheel. It would be pretty much unusable. So instead of trying to go up the mountain, I figure we should go down, because down is where the highway is, so we'll try and make our way down there safely, as safe as we can with this something that is this ridiculously strong. As I mentioned before, I guess this is Santa's vacation car, because you're not going to be delivering presents in this thing. Maybe this one, the past one, definitely not. It's a little bit too slow for that. But either way, I think it's a bit too late now, as it is already Christmas Day, and that means it's been Christmas Day or Boxing Day for some of you. So just trying to be very gentle with this car. Even though it does weigh a lot, it is still incredibly dangerous to drive. Very scary, in fact. The V16s are always a little bit spooky, and this one especially, as it's been turned up to 11. Like, I can just stay off the gas and fly through these corners. But as soon as you go on the throttle, even part throttle, it just gets dangerous. Like, I'm only using maybe 10% of the throttle, probably less, at most of these junctions. Alright, we've come to a slightly straight bit. I feel like if I really give it, then this car is just going to destroy itself, so it's probably not a good idea. Ooh, it tried to. It definitely tried to. Yeah, coolant overheating immediately as soon as we get up on the gas there. That's what you expect from something like this, but yeah, that's kind of what happens when your engine degradation is that high. Alright, well, with slightly less horsepower, we go up the hill, and then I think we're going to need to take a left here, hoping to get to the highway. Oh, I see it right there, and then we can try a top speed run, similar to how we did before, if I can keep the car straight, that is. I'm thinking now I probably should have just made it all-wheel drive, just because, but at this point it's a little too late. It's okay that it's rear, it's a lot more challenging to drive. Okay, let's get on over to the end down there, and then we'll aggressively accelerate and see how fast we can get going here. So I can tell you right now that the car itself overheats pretty quickly, and that's probably my fault for not turning up the cooling enough. I think I might have just left it the same from when it was a smaller engine, so this car is dangerous, we'll say. Very dangerous. It needs to be reset constantly, otherwise it's not going to work. But that's no problem, because it's always braking. Well, we might have to go to a map with no hazards if we're going to try testing the top speed. It seems like if you stand still and try to rev the engine, that's when it just gets really hot, so we can't do any standing burnouts or anything. We just have to accelerate slowly like this, and just like very slowly get up to that maximum speed. Oh yeah, claimed max speed on this car is 527 kilometers an hour, by the way, so it'll be interesting to see if we can get that on our roof. I think this is the most Hot Wheels car that I've made. It really fits that, just being so ridiculous and very, very unrealistic. But it's kind of cool in its own way, and I like the style that it has. I find these kind of cars fun. Okay, so we're going to slowly accelerate in the tunnel, as to not spin the wheels too badly. Currently slow acceleration still. Oh wow, as soon as you get into the turbo, it just grenades itself. Hold on a minute. Yeah, so we really can't go over 4,000 RPM without really spinning out and flying into the wall, so we just have to very slowly accelerate and not worry too much about getting that throttle all the way down, because it's just not going to happen at any speed with this car. Currently doing 300 kilometers an hour. I haven't gone above 5,000 RPM yet. Goodness, I am afraid. And that ended about as predictably as you might think it would. Almost doing a wall ride though, which would have been pretty sweet. Should probably try and make a car that is actually capable of doing a wall ride. Alright, so for this top speed run, I don't know why I'm doing top speed runs with this car, by the way, or any of the cars that I'm making now, but I just want to try it. So we're in the grid map where we have virtually unlimited space. I'd be interested to try this on the drag strip as well to see if it can actually hook up. Oh boy, it'd probably be a really violent reaction as well, but as we slowly accelerate here, and I'm trying to concentrate on that slowly, but it is challenging. So we're currently passing 300 kilometers an hour and currently also doing a bit of a spin at 300 kilometers an hour. Let's see if we can get that back. So what I think I'm going to do to try and make this easier for myself is go up a little bit in the RPM and then shift to manual 7 and then go from manual 7 with the throttle down. So we're starting from a much higher gear. Ooh. Anyways, that didn't work. So I'm really concentrating on the throttle. Ooh, darn, it spun out. Ah, man, I was so close there. So I managed to get up to about 310, but I know I can do better. I almost managed to control this untamable beast just by very slightly being on the throttle, pretty much as low as I can get, and then hoping that I could get up to somewhere past that. We'll go for a run right now, just like that. I'm slowly losing my voice for some reason, but as you can see, the grid map is slightly approaching there. 310, 320, and it starts to want to spin, but you can't really save it, so it's just unfortunate. It's a very good car, though, in terms of styling. Just wheel spin is definitely an issue. I think we should probably use that to our advantage, though. I've got a couple ideas on the grid map here of what we can do with that. It definitely needs that downforce. I think what's happening is it's probably making uplift at that speed, so we would probably need to put a massive wing on it to keep it down, and that would reduce our top speed, but at least it would keep the thing on the ground. Because we're making uplift, right, so that's not going to work out well for us. If you actually want to see it, I will make another video just trying to get the maximum top speed out of this car. We'll do a couple versions with different wing setups, and then we'll test it out in this map and see if we can actually get a stable, not table, top speed of, I don't know, somewhere north of 500 k's an hour. Now I believe that this is drag strip material, so we should actually have grip on here. Rev up, and yeah, I mean, we do have grip, but immediately we've blown the engine. Just got a little bit too hot there, just a little bit. Yeah, it doesn't want to restart. I think we killed it. Alright, let's try something else. There's a ramp right down there, and I don't think that the Beam designers have done this by accident. Let's give it a shot. See if we can't just roll over there and shoot ourselves off the ramp in a spectacular fashion. And immediately into drive. Engine wants to kamikaze. It has kamikazed. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to restart, but we can roll over the ramp at some significant speed and crash. Interesting. That was pretty good. So let's try and start in drive on this surface. I'm just going to go reversed a little bit and then into drive, and we probably won't blow up if we do it like this. Just accelerating really hard though. Oh goodness, never mind. Well, we can coast on over there at 160 again, and literally the same thing is going to happen, isn't it? Yeah, that would be a yes. Well, I think that's going to be it for this video. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I know that this car is a little bit ridiculous and not really that good. Like overall, it's not a great car, but it's just kind of fun to mess around in Beam sometimes. And then also in Automation, make something ridiculous and then drive it in a ridiculous way. I just find it fun. Even if it breaks every 2 seconds, it's still fun to drive. Yeah, say that to all the Subaru owners out there. So what's coming up in the next couple days? Well, it's Christmas Day today, so there won't be anything tomorrow for Boxing Day, but I'm planning on streaming Wreckfest on the 27th, so that'll happen sometime during the day. Be doing some community multiplayer stuff for that, and there'll be another My Summer Car video on Saturday, and then next week there's going to be a New Year's Eve and a New Year's video, and then that will be it for 2019. So thank you for watching. Thank you everybody for supporting the channel. I appreciate you a lot. It's been fun to just mess around so far. Obviously I'm not done for the season, as I just said, but things are winding down. I'm basically just messing around now. Well, as usual, I've got some people I need to thank. Canadian Steel, Slow Fried Chicken 69, Overlord, That Riced Out Explorer, Justin, and QT Bear. Thank you so much for your support. I appreciate all of you, and I'm looking forward to continued support in the future as we continue to try out some new games and keep playing Automation and stuff. Hopefully over the next few weeks things can continue to be good. Anyways, That's it for this video. I'll see you again on Friday for that live stream and Saturday for that My Summer Car video. It's gonna be good.